be coming from the book of Ruth, the first chapter. And I'm going to read verses 12 through 17. Ruth chapter 1, verses 12 through 17. Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have an husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Would you stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes, that the hand of the Lord is going out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Oprah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth cleaved unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is going back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, it ought but death part thee and me. I'm going to talk about, the theme is a mother and daughter's bond for a few minutes. I would like to tell you that I have done everything right as a mother, and that I have never made a mistake. But I would not be truthful. But what I can tell you is that the love that I have for my daughter can never be broken. There is nothing that she has ever done or will ever do that will cause me not to love her. That's the love between a mother and a daughter that I have, and that we should have, because for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. A bond, that is something which binds, a band, a link, a tie, an oath, or a promise. And I like to visualize, but I didn't have time to buy a rope and tie it up and put it in one knot and pull it just to see if it would break. And if you tie that knot in a rope, take a rope and tie a knot and pull it, it won't break. That's the same type of love that a mother and daughter should have. My question to you today is, has anything come between the bond between you and your daughter? You don't have to answer that. Just something to think about. Our story today deals with a lady by the name of Ruth. This book was written after Ruth. She did not write this book, but the book of Ruth is an inspiring love story which demonstrates God's providential care. The name of the author is not given, but this book is accredited to Samuel. Ruth was the daughter-in-law of Naomi. And Naomi and her husband, Elimelech, and their two sons, Chilion and Ephraim, they left Bethlehem of Judah and came to the country of Moab. Now they left Bethlehem of Judah because there was a famine in the land. But while they were there, they took 2 wives. The sons did. Ruth and Oprah. Now it's important for us to know that Ruth and Oprah were not from Bethlehem. They were not children of Israel. They were Moabites, which means they served other gods. They believed in polytheism, serving more than one God. Where Naomi and her husband believed in monotheism, the study of one God. There was one creator of all. One of my points that I want to bring to you, before I bring you the point, I want you to know that while they were there, first Naomi's husband dies, and she becomes a widower. Then she has her 2 sons, and they die, which leave the daughter-in-laws and the mother-in-law. But what I found interesting in this story is that in the text, she calls them daughters. Now, how many of you, don't answer this, have daughter-in-laws that you call daughter? Well, some of you may have some that you call daughter. And some of you may have some that say, I just can't say that. She is my son's wife. She is the mother of my grandchildren. I am trying to respect her because of my son. But Naomi called them daughters. I said, that is very, very interesting. They were not from the same culture. As a matter of fact, they were Moabites, came from ancestral backgrounds, served more than one God. But apparently, there was a life that Naomi lived and that the sons lived before them that caused them to want to serve the one and only true and living God. And isn't it wonderful when we can live where our daughters and daughter-in-laws will want to serve the same God that we serve? That's a beautiful testimony. Not that we're doing one thing at home or saying one thing someplace else in the house of God and then doing something else. So the first point was she called them daughters. The second point I want to bring out is she told them to leave. Sometimes the advice that we give as mothers is not always right. She told them to leave. Go back. Go back and serve the other gods. Back in the biblical times, if your husband died, you married his brother. Now, I could not imagine doing that here. And you would have to marry the brother and have children by the brother. And then if that died, you married the next brother. Can you imagine? No. We would say it is an absolutely disgrace for her to run it through the family. I cannot believe she married him. Now she's going with Derek. That is a shame. That's exactly what we would say. But in the Bible times, it was customary, if your husband died, you married his brother. I thank God that that has changed. Hallelujah. So Naomi was saying to them, what are you going to do? Are you going to wait until I get married again? I'm too old. I'm not going to get married again. And if I did, I can't have any children. What are you going to do? Are you going to wait until they grow up and let them become a husband? No. Leave. Go on back. Go on back. First they cried. Oh, no, I don't want to leave. she was persistent. And she said to me, I used to look at Oprah, not the Oprah on television, but I do watch her at times. But the Oprah in the Bible as a person that was terrible because she turned around and she left. She didn't stay like Ruth. But as I began to study the text, she did exactly what her mother-in-law told her to do. Leave. And that's what she did. She kissed her and she left. But Ruth decided, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay. I'm going to cleave to you. If Ruth had went back like Naomi told her to, she would not have been in the lineage of Jesus Christ. She would have never married Boaz. She would have never been able to take care of Naomi had she gone back. Now, mothers, I must say to you, submit, that if we are wrong, we must say, I'm sorry. I was wrong about that. Sometimes our pride is so strong. Talking about a mother and daughter bond. We're so stubborn, we can't say that I was wrong. But sometimes we have to say, okay, I was wrong about that. And as I began to look at this, I'm almost done. But Naomi assumed that they didn't want to go with her. Sometimes we speculate things and we make assumptions on things that are not true based on our own emotion. So she just made the assumption, they're not going to want to go with me, so I'm going to tell you ahead of time, leave and go back. But she was wrong. But Ruth said to her, entreat me not to leave thee. Which means Naomi had to have a life which served God. There had to be something in Naomi where Ruth didn't want to leave. Entreat me not to leave thee, or return from following after thee. For where thou goest, I will go. Where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Now that right there. Most of us, they say two women can't stay in the same house. Two women can't be in the same kitchen at the same time. But Ruth said, where you live, I want to live also. Your people shall be my people. Your relatives, your cousins, Sarah, Boo Boo, Antoine, Mary. Your people shall be my people. I'm going to like all of your relatives too. And your God, and thy God, my God. That was beautiful. The same God that you serve, I want that to be my God also. The one that created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and all things were made by him. And without him was not anything made that was made. In him was light. God created the heavens and the earth, the firmament, the fowls, the beasts, the herbs, the grass. That God, that's the same God that I want to have. The God that Moses, when he went and stood before Pharaoh and told them to let my people go, and he refused. But then eventually he had to, and he led them, 1 million children of Israel, out of Egypt. And he led them even through the wilderness. He led them across the Red Sea. That God, that's the same God that I want to be my God. The God that when Joshua walked around the Jericho walls and the Jericho walls fell, that's the same God that I want to be my God. Then she said, where thou diest will I die. There will I be buried. Now, most of us would say, now you can go if you want to, but don't take me. I want to stay here until my time is up. I love myself. But she said, where you die, I want to die. And most of us, we don't want to talk about death. We don't talk about that. But I want you to know it is inevitable. We all are going to die one day. But the thing is, where will we spend eternity? And that's the question that mothers and daughters should have. One day I'm going to go. I don't want to go right now. I don't know how long I have. I think I look pretty good for 51. But I'm going to live a little longer. However, one day I'm going to die. And for mothers that have daughters, you have to talk to your children about that. They can't find the policy in a shoebox, in the closet, over a mat. They're already upset. They're already devastated. They know nothing about your affairs. Now, I must admit, it's very difficult to talk about. Mother and daughter. But that relationship, we should be able to talk about all types of things. Where thou diest, there I would die. Where you will be buried, I will buried. And the Lord do so to me, and more so it ought but death part thee and me. And when she saw that she was steadfast-minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. She convinced her, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care what you say. I'm going to stay right there with you. I want to say that sometimes there's a role reversal, and the children act like they the parent. That happens. But we must be able to respect the dignity of our parents. They're still mom. You may have a better way to do it, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Mom may not be on Facebook. She may not tweet. Oh, what are you girls doing? I'm not fooling with that. But we're not going to embarrass her and make her feel like she's an idiot because you don't tweet. You're not on Facebook. You're not on social media. For God's sake, everyone is on there. Mother and daughter bond is very important. Because Ruth stayed with her, Naomi had to give her some motherly advice. She told her how to get Boaz. Yes, she did. She said, go down to the field and go out there and don't say much. Go down to the field and abide there among the maidens. Don't say anything, just pick up. And he noticed her. Her mother told her how to find a man. Isn't that something? Now, most of us don't take that type of advice. Everybody, they like, we can't stand. Oh, no, he's boring. I can't believe it. Oh, what do you say? Oh, no, I don't need any help. I don't need any help. I don't need any help. But Naomi told her what to do, and eventually she married Boaz. And she became the nurse. And they had a child by the name of Obed. And Obed had Jesse, and Jesse had David. Because of that mother and daughter bond. It's very important for us to have in the house of the Lord. None of us know it all. But nothing should be able to separate a mother and daughter. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation? Shall distress? Because you don't always agree, is that going to separate you? Is that going to keep you from speaking to each other? Famine, persecution, nakedness, peril, sword. What is it that will separate you, that will cause you to walk in the same house and shut the door and never say anything? None of you do that. I know you've never been upset. Never got mad at your daughter. Never got mad at your mother. And of course, when I was growing up, if you got mad, you couldn't say it. You couldn't even look like you were mad. You couldn't look upset. You was mad. What you looking? Why you got that frown on your face? Oh, no reason. But nothing should be able to separate us. We should be able to get it together. And when you're just alike, you think alike. When you're strong-willed, you're both strong-willed. You're both stubborn. You're both lovely. You both love to sew. You both love to cook. You both love to do the same thing. As I begin to close on this love chapter, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can remove mountains, and have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. I want to say that sometimes we will have daughters that may go astray, but you still must love your daughter. Doeth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth. But where there be prophecies, they shall fail. Where there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. Love between a mother and a daughter, a bond.